Until 2019, this kingdom was officially closed to the outside world. For decades, no tourist visa, no outside cameras, no witnesses, a civilization of 35 million people, and almost no one had been allowed inside. What was hidden behind those borders? Cities carved entirely into sandstone cliffs. Pilgrims from every nation on earth moving in infinite circles around a single sacred structure. Futuristic towers rising from landscapes once crossed only by camel caravans. The largest continuous sand desert on Earth, so vast, so lethal, the Bedouins called it the empty quarter. And $1 trillion project to build a new civilization from scratch, in the middle of the desert. How does a kingdom that shaped the prayers of 2 billion people suddenly decide to open its doors to the entire world? And what do you find when you finally step inside? In this documentary, we travel across 4 faces of the same kingdom. We begin in the Northwest, where ancient civilizations carved entire cities into the rock, and where long-dead traders still leave traces beneath the sand. We enter Mecca and Medina, the 2 cities the rest of the world will never see. We cross the Rub al Khali, where the desert erases distance, memory, and time. And we reach Riyadh, a capital spending everything it has to become something the world has never seen before. This is Saudi Arabia, a land of stone, silence, faith, survival, and ambition. And nothing you think you know about it is the whole story. Saudi Arabia occupies most of the Arabian Peninsula, positioned between the Red Sea to the west and the Arabian Gulf to the east. Between those 2 coastlines lies an extraordinary diversity of landscapes. Volcanic plains blackened by ancient eruptions. Limestone escarpments collapsing into endless desert. Mountain highlands where mist gathers above terraced farms, and beneath it all, one of the largest petroleum reserves ever discovered. Then oil changed everything. Wealth flooded the desert. Cities rose from sand in a single generation. A kingdom that had existed for centuries on trade, faith, and survival suddenly found itself at the center of a different kind of world. But long before oil, Arabia was already the center of the ancient world. Caravans loaded with frankincense, spices, silk, gold, and myrrh once crossed these deserts, guided only by stars, wells, and memory. And the deeper you travel into this land, the more it begins to feel less like a country, and more like an entire civilization still unfolding in real time. In the northwestern desert, the land begins to change. The flat plains give way to something older. More vertical, more deliberate. 2,000 years before the first European explorer set foot in the Americas, a civilization here carved an entire city into the rock. Hegra wasn't discovered by archaeologists. It was simply forgotten. Long before modern borders existed, ancient caravans crossed these valleys carrying incense, spices, silk, gold, and myrrh between southern Arabia and the Mediterranean world. Traders stopped here for water, protection, and shelter beneath the cliffs. Over centuries, Alula became far more than an oasis. It became a crossroads of civilizations. The Nabateans, the same people who built Petra in present-day Jordan, established Hegra as their southern capital. More than 100 monumental tombs rise directly from freestanding sandstone formations, columns, stair-step crowns, carved eagles, inscriptions in ancient scripts. Every facade designed to project wealth, permanence, and power. Outside, grandeur; inside, silence. The most iconic structure here is Qasr al-Farid, the lonely castle. Its facade rises more than 66 feet from the rock. But look more carefully, and something immediately stands out. The lower sections remain unfinished, rough, incomplete. As though the work suddenly stopped, mid-chisel. Historians believe the patron who commissioned the tomb may have died before it was completed, freezing the monument forever between ambition and abandonment. A monument to human plans interrupted by time. As the sun moves across Hegra, the entire landscape transforms with it. Dawn turns the sandstone pink and gold. Midday reveals every carved detail. By sunset, long shadows sharpen the monuments into silhouettes against burning skies. And at night, beneath stars untouched by city light, the Milky Way stretches above the desert exactly as it did for the traders who once crossed these valleys. The landscapes here feel less like scenery and more like archives, storing entire layers of human history inside the stone. Here, time feels suspended, ancient, silent, unfinished. No place defines Saudi Arabia more profoundly than the cities toward which millions of Muslims turn every single day. Every year, in the span of 5 days, 2.5 million people appear in the same place, at the same time, performing the same ritual. It is the largest coordinated human movement on Earth. At the center of all this motion stands a structure astonishing in its simplicity: the Kaaba. Draped in black embroidered cloth within the Masjid al-Haram, 5 times every day, nearly 2 billion Muslims around the world orient themselves toward this single point on Earth. Islamic tradition holds that it was established by the Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail as a house devoted to one God. Since then, its role has remained unchanged, even as the world transformed entirely around it. Pilgrims circle continuously in the ritual known as tawaf. White garments replace nationality, wealth, profession, and status. Voices echo through marble courtyards in countless languages. Footsteps blend with prayer, with announcements, with distant recitations carried on the night air. Movement replaces distance. For many believers, the first sight of the Kaaba marks the emotional culmination of an entire lifetime of longing. Some weep quietly. Others stand completely still, overwhelmed. Here, millions move together with a shared purpose that transcends language and geography and everything else. Above the city rises Jabal al-Nur, the Mountain of Light. Its rocky slopes lead toward a small cave barely large enough for a few people. Yet, within this confined space, according to Islamic belief, the first revelation of the Quran descended to the Prophet Muhammad in the early 7th century. Even today, the climb remains demanding. Loose stones shift beneath each step. Heat rises from the mountain. And as the city slowly falls away below, silence replaces the noise of the streets. Medina, north of Mecca, carries a different atmosphere altogether. Softer, more contemplative, more intimate, the Prophet's Mosque, crowned by its famous green dome, contains the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad, the second holiest site in Islam. Palm groves still surround parts of the city, quiet reminders of Medina's origins as an oasis settlement sustained by water, agriculture, and shelter. Together, these two cities shape not only Saudi Arabia's religious identity, but its political weight and global role across the entire Muslim world. Ancient faith now exists alongside high-speed rail, air-conditioned pilgrimage corridors, and a logistical operation unlike anything else on Earth. And yet, the spiritual center remains exactly where it has always been. Beyond the sacred cities, the land opens into something overwhelming. Rub al Khali. The empty quarter. The largest continuous sand desert on Earth. Its dunes rise like frozen waves across the horizon. Some climb more than 650 feet high. Wind shifts the ridges constantly, erasing tracks within hours. Here, nothing remains fixed for long. In summer, temperatures climb above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The horizon dissolves into heat and haze. Yet even here, life persists. Arabian oryx move carefully across open plains. Sand gazelles find sparse vegetation between the dunes. Reptiles leave delicate patterns across the surface, traces erased almost immediately by the wind. The desert taught endurance, patience, navigation, memory, and faith. It still does. For centuries, Bedouin tribes survived here through knowledge passed across generations. They navigated using stars, understood hidden water sources beneath the sand, read subtle changes in wind and terrain like a living map. In the open desert, hospitality was not simply tradition, it was survival. Refusing water or shelter to a stranger could become a death sentence. Generosity here was necessity. And then, without warning, the desert breaks apart. Northwest of Riyadh rises Jebel Firain, known as the Edge of the World. A massive limestone escarpment plunging toward an immense plain below. Millions of years ago, this entire region lay beneath an ancient sea. Fossils embedded within the cliffs still carry traces of that vanished world. Standing near the edge produces a strange sensation. Solid ground beneath your feet. Infinite openness ahead. Long before skyscrapers rose across this kingdom, it was landscapes like these that shaped what it meant to be Arabian. $1 trillion. That is how much Saudi Arabia has committed to transform itself by 2030. To put that in perspective, it is larger than the combined GDP of the Netherlands, Sweden, and Norway. At the center of the Arabian Peninsula, a capital is reinventing itself at a speed few places on Earth can match. Futuristic towers now rise from landscapes once crossed only by camel caravans. Cinemas, banned for decades, now attract families deep into the night. International concerts and cultural performances increasingly position Riyadh as one of the fastest-changing capitals in the Middle East. Tourism, technology, entertainment, finance, global investment. The transformation feels immediate. Everywhere you look, the history is still being written. Yet beneath the glass and steel, traces of older Riyadh still remain. Near the city's historic center stands Al Mazmak Fortress, built from mud brick in the 19th century. In 1902, Abdulaziz ibn Saud captured this fortress in a battle that launched the unification of the modern kingdom itself. Thick walls, narrow passageways, wooden gates worn smooth by time. History survives here, only steps away from some of the most ambitious urban megaprojects on Earth. The desert continues erasing footprints while preserving stone. Across Saudi Arabia today, that contrast between preservation and transformation appears almost everywhere. Traditional coffee rituals continue beneath the glow of digital billboards. Saudi coffee, infused with cardamom, poured from long-spouted dala pots into small cups, offered as a gesture of welcome, trust, and belonging. Meals like kabsa and mandi preserve flavors shaped by centuries of caravan trade, desert survival, and regional exchange. Some things here, the transformation simply cannot reach. Nearly 70% of Saudis are under the age of 30. many are experiencing the most rapid period of change in the kingdom's entire history. Supporters see modernization as necessary adaptation, a younger generation demanding opportunity, mobility, and global engagement. Others question the pace, the complexity, and the long-term consequences of change this dramatic. Saudi Arabia today exists inside that tension. Ancient and futuristic. Deeply religious, yet increasingly globalized. Conservative in some ways, radically experimental in others. A kingdom that has never been easy to define, and is becoming harder to define with every passing year. As the journey across Saudi Arabia begins to slow, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. This is not a country moving cleanly from past to future. It is carrying both at the same time. Ancient civilizations, sacred cities, coral reefs, mountain cultures, megacities, tribal memory, global ambition, and millions of ordinary lives unfolding quietly between all of it. In the southern highlands, villages like Rub al Khali preserve architectural traditions centuries old. Multi-story stone towers rise along narrow mountain valleys. Here, culture survives not inside museums, but through everyday routine. Through food, farming, hospitality, and memory. The landscapes here feel less like scenery, and more like archives, still storing everything that came before. Beneath all these changes, one force still anchors the kingdom more deeply than any mega project or skyline ever could. Faith. Five times each day, the rhythm of prayer continues across Saudi Arabia exactly as it has for generations. Millions still journey toward Mecca, carrying hopes, grief, gratitude, and devotion from every corner of the world. In a nation transforming at extraordinary speed, the spiritual center remains remarkably constant. Saudi Arabia doesn't ask you to understand it all at once. It asks you to come back, because every time you do, it will have changed again. And something ancient will still be waiting exactly where you left it.